Okay, so now we're going to look at adding some lights to the VPX. So what we want to do is, if we go to the example table, we go to the light layer, just going to grab a random, what we call a normal colored light, so these slightly beige colored lights. Going to click on our scared stiff table, create a new layer, call it lights inserts, because these are going to be for the insert lights. So make sure it's selected, click on the table and paste it in there. Here. So as we saw earlier on when we did the layouts, we did one of the layouts which had the blueprint on. So what we can start doing is we'll get this, select it, unlock it, and we might as well start at the top. So we get this and we drag it all the way up the top. The blueprints are rough approximations of where the lights go. Sometimes they're obvious, sometimes they're not. So in this case, if we look at the normal play field, you see some of it's obscured behind that. So this is actually a white insert, which is completely circular, but you can't see because some of it's covered in the decal. So if we go back to this one, you can see the actual insert sizes are there. I'm just making this neat because I'm strange like that. So you get this, you want to make it bigger. So what you can do is you can click on it, right click, scale. You can make it 1.1 and then click apply and it gets gradually bigger. You can put 1.11 and it will make it, oh, no. So now I've made it too big. You can now make it 0.99. That looks about right. Click OK. So now we've got the insert about the right size of the light around the right size. We want this red line, which is the fall off line, to be the same size for the stuff that we're doing. So you go over to fallout range over here. That's a little bit bigger, so make about 35. Yep. This is the light disk, and the fall off line is the gradient from the middle to the outside. So you want them to match, really. You can mess around and get some tricks to do other things, but we want them to match. Right, so you've got this. And now though, so if you look up in there, it's called 84, L84, which is the left skull lane. So we go up here, lights, we rename it L, which is already there, but 84. And then we go to timer. This is the important bit. So we name it L84, timer 84. So the timer number has to be the same as the lamp number. This lets VPX talk to the light, this lets PinMAME talk to the light directly. So we've created this, and then you can go and you can add it to the collection all lamps. So we've created a collection called all lamps, one word. So that is now in the collection all lamps. And then really all you do is you go around the table and so we'll copy and paste that one there and there. Be a bit careful with copy and pasting so you don't lose where you are. So we know this one is 85. Go to timer, 85. 86. L86 and then 86. It's good practice to call them the number that they actually are, so you don't get lost later on. All lights, when dealing with it the way that we're doing it, can be left as white because they're controlled by whatever. But if you want to, you can make them whatever color you want for the game. The only thing we tend to use them for are ball reflections. because that's how VPX works and does ball reflections. All the rest of the lighting is going to be done in the toolkit side. But if you click the lights, go to the visuals, and you can change the light colors. So you can click on that and you can make it any color you want. So if you wanted that to be green, you can make it green. So the light color is what the base light color is. The center burst is the bright bit in the middle. So it kind of works best if you leave that a bright color. But your mileage may vary. It's something you can tweak around with, but we don't really have to worry about that. So you go through the whole thing. These are very much like the way that you control other boxes. So at the moment it's got all these control points. If you want to go down and make the square one, you can go up to view outline, and then you can, well, first of all put it on the middle and scale it. I reckon that's 0.75. A bit big still, so we get the idea and just drag the corners. Just do something basic like this. Like I said, you don't have to be crazy, accurate, because we're going to be doing the lighting with the toolkit. But if you wanted to make it completely accurate, you can go insane. So like on this one up here, when you look at you can make it with all these different jagged lines, but we're not really that bothered about it. But you can dial it in as much as you want. So you do that, and then bring down the fallout to a bit bigger than that. It wants to be bigger than the area, really. There we go. So this one is 22. 22. And then again, don't forget to add it to the all lamps collection. To be honest, you can do that right at the end rather than going through and doing them all individually. You can just highlight them all and then right click and go add to all lamps, and it will add it. So add all of them. So yeah, you go through all of those, you add all of these, make sure they're all right. If you find a lamp in the middle like this one, this doesn't have a corresponding light number here. That means that is a flasher, not an insert lamp. So they're handled differently, but all you would do with that one is, the way that I tend to do this is we'll copy this, put it down here. Now because they're handled slightly differently, I like to make a new layer. So we'll go lights, flashers, make sure that's selected, and click the little hand, and so it moves to the flasher layer. Make this bigger, say half as big again, and that's directly correlates to the fall off as well. So if it's half as big as again, what's that? That's 48-ish. Oh no, yay maths. And call this one. So if we go down to now flashers, switches, flashers. So we know this is flasher 26. So I would call that F26. It doesn't matter what the timer is on this, it's irrelevant. Because it won't be called. Just leave it at, I don't know, 10. Doesn't matter because we're not adding it to all lamps. So yep, so that's flasher 26. It's just sometimes you can get lost going, well, why isn't there a button there? The actually one of the only other ones on this one is these two down here, F20. This is where a bit of knowledge about the machine comes into it. F20 aren't, these two flashes down here aren't used by the machine. They were prototypes and weren't actually used in the final game. So it's sometimes these blueprints are printed, the manuals are printed before the machine goes to production or goes to final production, and there are some changes like there was in this. Okay, so that's insert lights. There's a bit of code that goes in the table, which is in the example table, which basically references. I go find all lamps. You just have to add table init, VPM lights, all lamps, and that tells it that all your VPMAME lights are in the all lamps collection. And use lamps constant use lamps 1 has to be, well, that has to be set to 1. So that is table lamps.